Okay, so at the top of your paper, I want you to write conflicting viewpoints notes. Yeah, just your normal pen, yeah. You can write it in a color if you want to, I don't care. Sure. It's a Sharpie, but that's fine. So we're going to start with our pink highlighter, and we're going to make a little key for ourselves at the top. The first line I'm going to do is pink, and that is going to be issue. The second one is orange. And this is going to be the author's point of view of the issue. And that's really important that you include author's point of view of the issue, because when I typically say author's point of view, I'm asking you, is it in first person, second person, third person limited, third person omniscient, whatever? That's completely different. This is the author's point of view on an issue, and I'll kind of explain that more when we get into our examples. Our yellow is the conflicting viewpoint. Which is the opposite of our author's point of view. So it's going to be the opposite of whatever the author believes. And then our green is author's response to the conflicting viewpoint. How the author responds to the conflicting viewpoint. Throughout this example that I'm going to give you, this is not an end-all, be-all. You don't have to agree with me. Don't get tripped up because you don't agree with me, okay? This is just an example. So I really don't care if you don't agree with me. It's just an example. So we're going to write 3 sentences, and you need to write these down or else your notes are not going to make sense at all. Cats can be traced back all the way to the Egyptians. That's our first sentence. Can everybody see the sentence okay? Yeah. Okay. Cats will always be better than dogs. Okay, again, this is just an example. This is the example that I've done for many years. That's the reason I'm still doing it, is because I know how to do this one. It doesn't matter if you don't agree. You are entitled to your own opinion, but this is just notes. One more sentence. Some may believe that dogs are better than cats. The first thing that we need to do when we're trying to answer a conflicting viewpoint RASP or constructor response is we need to identify the issue. And a lot of times the issue is going to be in the article title. However, this is just a little blurb that we've come up with ourselves. But what is the issue here? What's the issue, Drew? No. The issue. What's the issue being discussed here? Cats versus dogs. Okay, so I'm going to put that right here. Cats versus dogs. Okay, and I'm going to highlight that in pink. And like I said, when you have a longer article, these things are going to be a lot easier for you to, you're not going to have to write out cats versus dogs because it's just going to be there. It's not, this is just because I made this up that there's not a sentence that talks about the issue. But your articles most likely will. So then pick up your orange highlighter. What sentence in here identifies the author's point of view? Raise your hand if you can tell me. Kayla? Good job. So I'm going to highlight that sentence in orange. Then pick up your yellow. Dalton, what's my conflicting viewpoint? What's the opposite of my orange?
Some may believe that dogs are better than cats.
Perfect. So I'm going to highlight that last sentence in yellow. Because that's the opposite of what the author believes. We are now finished with these three colors. Go ahead and put those away. We are now finished with these three colors, with these three. Okay? Go ahead and put those at the top of your desk so that you don't get confused. The only color we're going to be working with now is green. And you will notice that in this little blurb, there is no response to the conflicting viewpoint, and I did that because there are 3 different ways that an author can respond to a conflicting viewpoint. So we're going to take it step by step. So the first one is to refute the viewpoint. Okay, refute the viewpoint. That's the first way that an author can respond to a conflicting viewpoint. Does anybody know what refute means? Dalton, you want to give a shot? Not quite. Kayla?
I'm gonna just guess,
Like kind of dismiss?
Yeah.
Not quite. You're on the right track though. Dalton, you want to give it another shot? Sort of. It means to disprove. So if you boycott it, I guess you mean you just say, no, that's not right because, okay? So refute means to disprove. Okay, so go ahead and put that somewhere on your notes because you need that. You need to know that that's disprove. So now we're going to write one more sentence, one additional sentence. And it's going to be kind of a long sentence, but we're going to get through it together. Okay, so it is, although some may believe dogs are better than cats because dogs are smarter and easier to train. Studies have shown that cats can be trained just as easily as dogs. Now, I kind of fibbed a little bit because it's just an example, but if your author is disproving or refuting the viewpoint, your author is always going to provide some sort of evidence that tells the reader you're wrong. So in this one, the evidence was studies show that cats can be trained just as easily as dogs. If I was writing this in a real, newspaper article or something like that, I would obviously cite evidence there. But because this is just an example, we don't need to cite evidence. But most of the time, your author in your articles will cite some sort of piece of textual evidence that disproves the conflicting viewpoint of, well, dogs are smarter. Okay? They would provide some sort of evidence that says that cats can be trained just as easily. So underneath there, and I'm going to write it in all capital letters because it's super important. I'm going to say evidence to disprove the conflicting viewpoint. And I accidentally wrote the little, but that's okay. And then I'm going to highlight that in green, and then this up here in green. So if we are refuting the viewpoint, we are providing evidence or basically finding the flaws in that argument. They're finding the flaws in the argument. Uh-huh. Yep, bring me your agenda. You're going to want to make sure that you get what you missed when you get back, okay? You wrote down verbs?
What?
Verbs.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Okay, go write down today's for ELA, and then you can go, okay? Okay, let's move on to our second way that an author can respond. This would be to provide a solution. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight that in green because our responses are always going to be in green. Now this one's going to be 2 sentences, but again, we'll make it through. So, some dog lovers say that cats are disgusting because they use a litter box inside the house. people should train their cats to use the toilet. It's a real thing. It's called the city kitty. I don't know. What do you think? So whenever your author provides a solution, they provide a solution to the problem. So their response to a conflicting viewpoint is providing a solution to the problem. The problem is that cats are gross because they use a litter box inside. The solution is, well, train your cat to use the toilet. You could also make them, or leash train them. You could also, no. You could also train them to, or have them, like, get an automatic, like, litter box so that you don't have to scoop their poop. It does it for you. So the last one I'm going to say is providing a solution to the problem.
Oh yeah, that's the only one I've seen.
Those are Sphinx. Sphinx cats are what? No, Mrs. Bartle does, though. She used to teach here last year. She teaches at the high school now. She's allergic to cats, so she got a Sphinx cat. All right, since we're talking, I guess it's time to move on to our last one. Our last one is provide a counterexample. Yeah, sorry. Provide a counterexample, and I'm going to highlight it in green. Yes, yeah. Provide a solution to the problem. Okay, so here's our last one. Some people believe that all cats are mean because they all scratch people. Although some may believe this, Mrs. Wyatt's cat has never scratched anyone on purpose, thus proving not all cats scratch people. No, thus is acting as a subordinating conjunction. After the first clause. Proving. Oh, yeah, it does. So when your author responds to a conflicting viewpoint by providing a counterexample, the author will provide one specific example of something that disproves the conflicting viewpoint. So it is provide an example that disproves.